Hello, my name is Seth. I work as a producer under the name Velvet Ear. I make videos to help independent artists, and today I'm going to show you how to prep your mix to send it off for mastering. The main thing you want to do is when you're talking to whoever is mastering your track, ask them how they like their files sent, because at the end of the day, how they prefer their files is how you should send it to them. If you don't really understand how audio settings work, I already did a video on that. I'll put it up right now. Your mastering engineer is probably going to be the pickiest person ever about what kind of file you send them, because they are in charge of the last step of your song before it goes off into the world. So they're probably going to have the pickiest specifications out of everybody. The next thing you need to think about when you send your mix out is your levels. You really need to nail the levels in your mix. Your mastering engineer cannot change the levels of individual instruments in your mix. If you're listening to your mix and the snare drum is not quite loud enough, you can't send it to your mastering engineer and say, hey, can you turn the snare up? And I know that that's kind of obvious for some people, but I find that there's so many times where people send something off to mastering before it's ready to be mastered. You want to make sure that you have enough time to sit with your mix and make sure that it is exactly where you want the mix to be before you send it off. The worst thing that you can do is send your mix off to a mastering engineer and be like, okay, start mastering it. And then when you get the master back, realize that it wasn't done being mixed. And then tell your mastering engineer, actually, we're going to have to take another pass at this. You just wasted your time, because now they're going to have to remaster whatever you send them. If the levels of your tracks or the mixing is going to change, that's going to affect their mastering chain, and so they're going to have to reset it. So you really want to make sure that you get your levels and everything in your mix dialed in how you want it to be. And one of the most important things about sending your file off to get mastered is your headroom. This borderline will determine the quality of the master that you get. So to break this down, the volume of the final version of your master is determined by the limiter in the mastering chain. The limiter is going to boost all the quiet parts up, it's going to keep the loud parts more even and consistent, and it's going to keep everything from hitting zero and clipping. And in order for the limiter to do this job correctly, you need to turn your mix down. Otherwise, the limiter doesn't have any room to play with. Different engineers have different specifications, but when I have people send me stuff to master, I like to see the loudest part of the song hitting -9 dB. So an easy way to do this is to get your mix exactly how you like it. Then what you can do is you can select all the tracks. On a Mac, you can normally just hit Command A, and you can bring all the faders down until you get to -9 dB. Some people have asked me, well, why can't I just turn my master down until it's hitting -9? When your mastering engineer says they want -9 dB, it's because they want 9 dB of room to play with. They want there to be 9 dB of space between where the song is at the loudest point and where the song would be clipping. They want that space. If your song is at -3 dB or -1 dB and you just turn the volume down, it doesn't actually have that room to play with. You've just taken this loud file that only has like 1 dB of room to play with or 3 dB of room to play with, and you've just turned the volume of it down. It doesn't actually have any more dynamic range to play with. This is also why if you have a bunch of tracks that are grouped together, like a guitar group or a drum group, you want to make sure that you're not clipping on any of those groups. Because again, if you're clipping on those groups and then you turn them down, you're not actually giving them any headroom. You're just clipping something and turning it down. Yeah, and that's how you send your mixes off to get mastered. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like down below so that I can see what kind of videos you guys find more useful. If you want me to do a specific video on a topic, please leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to do a video on it. I post one of these videos every Tuesday, so if you enjoy this kind of content, please hit subscribe and hit the little bell icon. I also just started a bi-weekly newsletter where I write articles for independent artists about the music business, artistic self-development and mental health, songwriting tips, productivity for creatives, and a lot more. Link is in the description down below. Have a great day. Now go make something cool.